Welcome to J Talk Raw.
Welcome to J Talk Raw. This is episode 11, and we've kicked Jay off the episode for this one. We got a different Jay, not J-A-Y, but more like Jay. His name is Jordan Cohen. He's a friend of mine, and he's going to be sharing the episode with me today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
So let me tell you guys how I met Jordan. I haven't known Jordan for a long time. I've known Jordan for less than a year. I got into an accident. My car got T-boned, and yeah, I've never attorneyed up in my life after an accident. I've been hit plenty of times. And my buddy was, he found out I got into an accident, calls me, says, dude, you have to go to this attorney. They'll take care of you because the insurance company never does. And it's so true. Like, besides my car, I never got really taken care of by an insurance company. At least not for, the time I was off of work or really treating me. So anyways, I hooked up with this attorney. An attorney referred me to a chiropractor. Jordan is a chiropractor, and that's how, we hooked up, and that's kind of how we met, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And he was great. Like, he actually got me better. Listen to me.
What a concept.
Yeah, what a concept. It was real. And he was just really cool, and kind of got to know each other. And, we've kind of been hanging out ever since. We share a lot of similar, shit we're into. And it's been a fun little road. But I brought you on, Jordan, because, I'm really, in many ways, you inspire me, and you have since I met you. And I just think, we have a lot of interesting conversation. I was like, dude, you'd be a perfect person to bring on. And I also think that there's something that the audience can take away from your story, which is really cool. So anyways, welcome on the show, man.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you listening in before, and kind of some of our other episodes, and the fact that you're still here really says a lot about you.
I'm persistent.
Oh, God bless your heart.
I don't really cross that line with patience. It's something that I actively have to fight sometimes. You can't really form relationships with patients. Friendships are, kind of a gray area. It's kind of frowned upon, but it's not unethical. But there's been maybe a couple instances in my career, which is a short 7 years so far, but where I've had patients and I'm like, I need to be their fucking friend because they're fucking awesome.
That's so cool.
And that's kind of one of the cool things about what I do is I meet people, and a lot of times it's a story here, a story there. Yeah. But when I met you, I just felt like this guy's got to be a part of my life.
That's so cool.
So I felt very comfortable with you, and there you have it. That's that. Yeah. I felt like it was meant to be.
And you for me, it's almost like you don't know why some people cross your path, right?
No doubt.
And there's like another weird part of it where it's almost like you were in my life, it was kind of like you were in this, like, I don't know if we would have been friends if I would have met you 5 years ago.
No doubt.
But it was almost like this time of my life, and us hooking up, it was like perfect timing for so many different reasons, I was
listening to one of the episodes prior, and you made a comment about how you have to surround yourself with people of a certain quality, right? And that's something that you deliberately pursue. And I feel that that's something that I also do. So I don't want mediocre friends. And I don't want friends that take more than they give. I'm so very selective, and in fact, I can probably on one hand I can list people who I would put on that level, and you're one of them. I just feel that you have a lot to bring to the table, and that has to be reciprocal.
Yeah.
And I hope it is. I hope
it is. Yeah. It really is. Yeah. It's like Drake says, no new friends, and I'm more like, no new friends that are losers. It doesn't go, but you get it. It's like, look. And I hate to say, look, I have plenty of friends that don't add a bunch of value to me, but like they're gonna be my friends forever,
for sure.
And I don't need any more of those though. Like you're my friend because we've known each other since we were kids, and you will always be my friend. But at this phase of my life, like I'm into certain shit, and like I want people that are into that shit and that can help me figure out that stuff, right? Whether it's like, off-roading or biking or whatever the hell I'm into. Like I want people that are down to do those things and like are good at those things, that are good at life, and and I felt that that you were too, so I appreciate that.
I can relate. You check all my boxes, Raul.
I don't know if you remember one of the first conversations we were having. So to give some context, right? So you're a chiropractor, and there's a bunch of different, I want to go down the rabbit hole a little bit on this. So there's a bunch of different types of chiropractors, right? Like you have a chiropractor that you go through your insurance. You have one that you go through workers' comp. You have one that you do personal injury. You focus mostly on personal injury now, right?
Yes. Now it's 80, 90% of my business. But I wouldn't say that there's chiropractors who specifically focus on each one of those. I would say that most chiropractors are diverse, and they tend to lean one to one. And there are some that they dial in on one thing. That's very true. But I've always kind of dabbled in a little bit of everything to find my way. And then PI has been my strength. I wouldn't say it's my passion. I'm very passionate about my athlete patients. Yeah. The patients that want to be better. Really, I find those patients very attractive, and I sleep better at night when I see them.
Okay, so I want to talk about that. So PI's personal injury, that's when somebody gets into a car accident or something like that, and then they get referred to you, right?
The car accident is the most common, but it could be a dog bite. I've seen those. Yep. It could be a slip and fall. Yep. Poor El Super. I mean, they are just getting fall. I don't know what they're doing there. They need to get their stuff together. But yeah, so when a person gets injured and they're suing a third party, and it's not employer based injury, so that would be the work comp variation.
So why do you do PI?
It's all I've ever known. Yeah. So my dad's a chiropractor. I'm a second generation chiropractor. Yep. When we had a falling out, and that's maybe we'll touch on that too. That's part of my story, but. My dad was doing it for 30 years, and
he did mostly PI as well.
He pioneered. Mercedes 80s of PI. He was very deeply entrenched in that community and industry, and I couldn't help but be exposed to it. When I was old enough to start working, 13, 14, I would be there at his office, and I would start off in the beginning with just saying hi to patients and being this cute little kid, right? And then as I got a little, I don't know about that. Depends on who you're talking to. As I got a little older, I started doing a little bit more. I started making phone calls, and that turned into scheduling, turned into lien reductions with attorneys, turned into marketing. So I've been around it forever, and I've developed relationships with some of these attorneys because they've known me since I was a kid. And that has also helped me in practice too, because those connections are everything.
You said that I want to go back to connections in a second, but you said you didn't do. You get more satisfaction out of dealing with cash patients, right? Or patients that are like with their own insurance. They're trying to get better. They're maybe they're paying a deductible, but they want to be there.
I'm not going to say it's just the cash patients. Certainly, there are many PI patients. You're one of them who they want to improve. Their goal is not a paycheck. It is to better themselves or to recover. Now that concept, again, what a concept, right? That concept of someone wanting to be better, whether it's recovery or whether it's growth, is something that, again, it helps me sleep at night. I feel like I'm making a difference for them, and it's the fuel to my fire. Without it, I'm no different than someone sitting in a cubicle. I'm on autopilot. I don't like autopilot. I don't care if autopilot makes me money. It's not good enough for me. I want more.
What is that? What keeps you going in the business?
Yeah. Again, it's not the money. It's what keeps me going is changing people's lives in a positive way, whether it's recovery or improvement or growth.
How lucrative? So if I'm a chiro, like, am I guaranteed like I'm going to kill it? Is this very?
No, it's a very difficult industry. It's a very difficult profession to make money at. I want to say that the average chiropractor in California makes $60,000 to $70,000 a year. Yeah, so you got the DR by your name, right? And you go through the 8 years of schools.
And you're a doctor.
I mean, it depends on who you talk to, but for as far as the level of schooling, it's a doctorate level. Yeah. And as far as the training, again, depends on who you talk to, but you're a doctor. My brother-in-law is an MD. His wife is an MD. I have uncles that are MDs, and then other doctors, other types as well. A lot of doctors in the family and close friends, and some close friends are MDs. Anyways, the schooling's really similar. You take away pharmacology and replace it with adjustment technique, and our schools can be apples to apples in a lot of ways. Chiros don't have a residency, so there's the difference there. We don't go dial in one specific surgery skill, right? Or we kind of just we graduate and we're ready to rock and roll.
Yep.
So it's a little different in that way.
You are, this is something that like really inspired me about you, but you're really about 1% of what a chiropractor makes financially. And really, you're very different than most chiropractors.
Oh, no doubt.
Most chiros either work for somebody or they open up one office.
Yeah, I'm very proud of myself in that way. I definitely have. I know for a fact I'm top 1%, probably nationally, maybe internationally. I mean, chiropractors don't tend to make a ton of money. And again, that's not my focus. But do a good job, take care of people, and have the right drive. And being 1% or higher is attainable for anyone. But the reality is most people, they don't go that route. In fact, there's many students cohort members of my class that graduated, and they're not even practicing. I know one of my buddies I talked to a couple of days ago, he's in real estate now. He gave up his $200,000 worth of schooling because he couldn't make it and couldn't afford his payments, so he had to go do something else.
So how did you do it? What makes you different? What did you do? What's the anatomy of that? What that looks like?
I went into it knowing what I was going to do. I saw what my dad was doing. I didn't like exactly how he was doing it, and that's again connects to our falling out. But I knew exactly how I was going to do it, what I was going to do, and I saw the light at the end of the tunnel, and I just kept walking towards it. So it definitely was a lot of work, but I feel like it sounds crazy, but it almost felt like it just kind of, as long as I kept looking forward at my goal and kept making small steps to achieve that goal, it would just keep unfolding and coming to fruition.
And so you opened up your first office, and you had a shared office, right?
Yeah, I graduated,
right.
$250,000 in debt, and I'm like, fuck.
$250,000
in debt. I took living expenses too, because I wanted to. I had two kids during chiropractic school. It wasn't the smartest choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You had so Jordan. For those that are watching, you're white. But you live in like a Mexican or I'm gonna say Salvadorian because I'm Salvadorian.
Sure.
But you're living a Hispanic life with getting kids in college, right?
I guess so.
I mean,
yeah.
So you had kids. How were you in pre-med? Were you in medical school by that point?
I was in chiropractic school. I think second term. There's 10 terms, so second term, third term, somewhere in there.
And you had your first.
And yeah, it was planned. I know it was not an accident. My only accident was my third child when I was out of school. my one son. So that was a good accident. But I had kids, and it was hard as shit. I didn't want to work. Right during school, I was like, I want to focus on school and and at the time my baby girl, my oldest, and
so you took living expenses for all of you.
I took living expenses. I took the maximum I could take out, which doubled my tuition. So it would have been like 110 without it, and it was more like 220 ish, and not only that, I didn't use it in the smartest way. I didn't go buy cars and stuff like that. But I took it so I could, somewhat enjoy my life in that moment, and do things that I wanted to do, and take my wife to dinners and do things with my daughters and go to Disneyland. Otherwise, I would not have been able to afford it, especially not working. And I wasn't being supported by my dad and by anyone for that matter. I was just trying to get by day to day.
So your dad didn't help you through any of your education?
He helped me through undergrad. Which was. I mean, I'll say crumbs, but that's subjective. But it was a couple thousand here, $1,000 there. He paid maybe total $15,000-$20,000. Undergrad tuitions. So that was nothing compared to the chiropractic.
Right.
But yeah, we were on good terms at that time. So he was taking care of it, and he was supposed to pay my student loan. That was part of our arrangement, but it never really happened, and my loan's still outstanding. Yeah, so and I'm making the $2,000 a month payments. It's more than my mortgage. So yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. But yeah, I got through school, and I rented a house when I was in chiropractic school in Hacienda Heights, a mile from my house now, and we rented rooms out, and that's how I made money. So I just owned the lease of the house, not the lease, but
right.
Yeah, the lease.
Yeah, the lease. Yeah.
And I rented rooms to other chiro students, and that paid the rent. So that was my system. And I did that in multiple houses throughout school until I graduated. And at one point, we had a 7-bedroom house, and I was in charge.
Wow.
I had the pool. It was a beautiful house in Walnut, right by the high school. You know where that's at?
Yep.
And I mean, I paid no more rent. I rent. All my roommates paid all the rents. And that mixed with the student loans was how I survived that time in my life financially.
Huh. And so you get out of medical school, you're $250,000 in debt, you figure out some stuff, you probably still have people living with you, but now you got to go do your thing. Did you go work for somebody, or did you go straight private practice?
So I'm jumping around here when I talk about my dad, but the plan was to take over his practice. You grew up where? Victorville, Apple Valley. Yeah. So I went to, it's such a long story. It's like hard to figure out where to start, but I graduated. I started commuting up to him, which is an hour and a half drive.
Yep. Because you still lived in Walnut area.
And I just hate the staff, and I butted heads. I wanted to do things my way. I went through all that school, and I had all these ideas, and all of it was shut down constantly, and it was so defeating.
And it was shut down by him or by the staff?
But him, staff. He tried to incorporate some things like electronic healthcare records versus paper, but it was really defeating that I couldn't gain ground, and the staff didn't respect me because they still saw me as this 8-year-old kid. Yeah. And I just got so frustrated, and there was constant drama, and I ended up there was issues with him paying my student loans. There was issues with him underpaying me. I was being paid less than most chiropractors make starting by my own dad. And it was killing me. And my wife was just like, you're better than this. Like, you can't take that. And she was right. I'm like, why is my dad paying me less than a random chiropractor down the street would pay me? Yep. So at a certain point, and then came in the idea of I'm not taking the practice over in 5 years. It wasn't going to happen. That quote unquote promise was not playing out. And it burned me out quick. I was like, I can't do this. And I had to think. So what I did was I just took a leap of faith, and I left my dad, and I went on Craigslist, and I looked for fucking jobs for chiropractors and right out of school. And I found an orthopedic surgeon, and he wanted a chiropractor to do his exams because he liked the attention to detail that chiropractors have when it comes to seeing patients. And I could do his exams. I knew the tests. So he started me off $30 an hour, which honestly was these days very low. And the experience I had there was so invaluable. I mean, incredible. I was able to, my exam skills, he was a mentor. I just just incredible person, really, really helped me. Dr. Sadler. So after a year with him, I went to find a place to rent for my own, to do a part-time little practice. Yep. I have the ability to do that. I'm like, well, that's my ultimate goal. I'm going to do it. Found an acupuncturist who wanted to rent space. And I said, perfect. He's not going to compete with me. He wants to rent space. So I rented the office from that guy. And long story short, I outgrew it quick. Yeah. Just doing what I do. Yeah. Piggybacking off connections that I made. Yep. And then after, I don't know, maybe a year, I was so busy that I left him, and I opened my own place. I didn't take a loan. I rented a really small space, and I worked on some marketing connections, and the patients started coming, and it exploded within a year and a half, and that's when I expanded.
And so you opened another office.
Yeah, and then one after another. My corporation's 6 offices deep now.
Wow!
Within 7 years.
And how normal is that to have 6 offices at the chiropractor?
It's unheard of. Yeah, I think out of all the chiropractors I know, which is a lot, I could think of 3 to 5 who have more than 5 offices. So it's not common. Chiropractors don't tend to be the most. They're not big hustlers when it comes to that stuff. They tend to just bunker down.
They're not businessmen.
They're not. Yeah.
That's the difference. Is that a chiro, as a chiro, kind of what makes you different is that you're a business person.
Yeah. School doesn't teach you that.
Yeah.
And also I didn't learn it in school either. I was around it as a kid. Thank God for that. Right. I appreciate that experience that I was able to watch. My dad's a business guy. He just never got it right. He struggled and made a lot of mistakes. And I watched all those mistakes and I learned, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. My dad liked to venture out and do things outside of what he's good at. He's a good chiropractor, but he always wanted to make money somewhere else, doing something different. And that was his downfall. For me, I was like, why not just expand on what we're good at? We know how to get patients. We know how to give good care. Why not just grow on in that regard? And so that's what I did. I did the opposite of my dad. And I just worked hard and didn't stop moving and tried to keep the connections open and bada bing, bada boom. And it worked out.
How many offices did your dad have?
1, still does.
Yeah. He was one of the normal.
Here's the reality.
Good money, though.
Here's the reality. One office, can, if done right in a personal injury setting, especially in that area, which is low socioeconomical community, can make an easy $300,000-$400,000 a year. So he was comfortable, and he kept trying to take his money and grow it doing other things. He tried doing some real estate stuff, constantly evicting people. He's so stressed out, right? So real estate just brought him stress, some money, but stress. And then he wanted to do some marijuana growing stuff, right?
Interesting.
And that turned and then people are stealing marijuana that work for him. So then he tried to do, he bounced around like crazy, artwork, doing some artwork flipping. And he was just constantly losing his ass. And then he got caught up with some bad investors and he lost everything. He lost like $7 million. Yeah. It was a huge deal. Yeah. He lost it all. So that was that was the inheritance of me and my sister. So everything was lost. So it was a low blow for us too. And a lot of that money came from my grandma who died. She was a very successful real estate agent. So at that point, I'm like, fuck, he lost everything, and now it's on me.
So the family. So you say your grandma was a real estate agent, hustled.
Yeah.
Hustled her a little fucking hard
the
out.
Definition of a Jewish success story. My grandma. Yeah.
Came here when?
I think she was born in New York. So she came. Her parents were immigrants from Russia.
Yep.
Yeah.
Immigrated from Russia.
She came from. This lady.
20s, 30s.
So,
right around the
Lorraine was her name. New York accent. Just tough as fucking nails, and hard worker. She didn't fucking sleep. That lady. She'd be smoking her cigarettes. That was her ultimate demise. Smoking her cigarettes in her office, hotboxing that shit, and just looking at the stock market and selling real estate. And of course, Mercedes 80s, right? So she benefited from the times too. She was able to really make some money back then. She was selling beach properties in Redondo Beach back then, and she made a ton of money. And she never spoiled us. She never spoiled my dad. And when she was gone, everything went to my dad. And he thought, I'll invest this with this big investor and do this big project and make more money for everyone. And he lost it all. Yeah. So ambition, and he got taken advantage of. Story of his life. But I've learned from that. So that won't be me.
There's always one person in the family, right, that changes the trajectory of that family forever. That, your grandma, and then, your dad kept it up, and, it's it's uncomfortable. It sucks that it didn't work out. But he was trying, fucking trying. Took a shot.
Yeah.
He wasn't living safe. And then now it's you.
Now it's me. It's on me for me and my kids. And
because you're almost starting from scratch. Besides,
I did start from scratch. Yeah.
Besides the like having some connections and having some experience of growing up that way.
Yeah.
You built this on your own.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, he contributed nothing to what I've built. So there was no hand out there.
How was childhood?
How
was growing up?
God, that's a loaded question. Where do I begin? What would you like to know?
So you did you grow up with mom and dad in the house?
They divorced when I was young. I have some bits and pieces of memories as a really young kid. I've lived everywhere. Torrance, Redondo.
Who were you with?
Young childhood, mom. Teenage years, dad. Yeah. No.
How did that happen? Why did you move
My mom, drug addict, right? Ultimately killed herself.
Wow.
Yeah. Not like a drug addict like you might think, but like addicted to prescription pills and alcohol.
Yeah.
And it just over the years it made childhood hard and confusing. And I know a lot of people can relate to this. It's really common. And I didn't really understand what was going on at the time. Looking back, I understand now.
Something was weird though, right?
It wasn't even weird. It was like, why is life so hard? And she'd be in the bathtub crying regularly, with her drink. I look back and I can picture the drink and I can picture the pill bottles everywhere. But back then I didn't notice it. And I just thought, this is my mom. Why is she always so upset? And it's hard for a kid to see your parent always like that. And ultimately things at home got bad, and I was like 12 or 13, and it was hard. Every day was hard, and she was very reactive and hostile sometimes, and she created a really hostile relationship between me and my sister, and we were at each other's throats constantly. And I ended up getting in a big fight. I think the day that I ended up leaving, I got in a big fight with my sister over something dumb, probably dishes or something, and somehow my mom got involved and I got hit, and I snapped, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm going with dad. And it was more of a kid trying to escape.
Sure.
But somehow I just never reconnected with her. There was like this resentment that was built off something deeper. And
how old were you? What, 12?
I was 12, 13.
Yep.
Went to my dad, got in middle school, went to high school.
In Victorville.
Yeah. And talked to my mom all but a few times over the years. It was really sad. And I made some small efforts to reconnect, but I was always pushed away because how she was acting was really, bipolar, I think was a factor. There was a lot of stuff going on, and it was really hard for me to I wanted to get away from it.
Did your sister stay with her?
She did. Yeah.
She did.
And that was hard for her in her own way. It was she was my mom's parent. And I was my dad's dad, and my sister was my mom's mom.
And your sister was older than you?
She's a year younger. She's 13 months younger than me. Yeah. And God bless her. My dad was a difficult guy to be around. And like I said, that he was crying, like a teenager over relationships. And it was hard because I feel like at times I raised my dad, but I know my sister, she raised my mom in some ways. She was her emotional support child. And that's not a healthy place for a kid to be.
It isn't. It isn't. Especially now at that age.
And my sister is affected negatively to this day by things that happened in her childhood.
We all are. Yeah. It's crazy how my wife and I were talking about that. And we I forgot what she did for AJ. And, he's like, the kids live a very different life than the ones that we live. Like
no doubt.
And we there was a moment where in the kitchen, and she was making him she packs this badass. She cooks like a full meal for him every morning. Mm-hmm. And packs him a badass meal. He takes to daycare, and and then he comes down the stairs and he gives us a hug, and he's says something like, "I love you," and then the other kids come, and then it's kind of quiets down, and I look at her and I'm like, You're a really great mom. I wish, and I don't say this to demean my mom, but I told her, I said, I wish I had a mom like you. My mom was busy. She was putting herself to do college when I was, because we were immigrants. And so she had a degree from El Salvador, but it doesn't count here. So she went all the way. She graduated undergrad when I was in high school. Same time, we graduated the same year, and then she went on to get her master's degree. But I just, we kind of raised ourselves. She was so busy, worried about herself, and I didn't have somebody like my wife,
for sure. And as a kid, you don't really. You don't give a shit about your parents going to school, and
I didn't give a fuck. I didn't go to my mom's graduation because I was so resentful towards her. Because I was hurt because I needed her. I didn't give a fuck about what you were doing. And same thing with my dad too. Yep. They came from a war torn country. They didn't have time. they weren't sensitive, and they didn't have great parents themselves. They did a good job, I think. I think they tried their best, but they didn't know how to, and so they weren't emotionally there that much. They weren't even there. They were just so fucking busy working and trying to survive. I get why they did it.
Yeah, sometimes you have to. You have to grow up to really understand that.
They didn't have the luxury of being great. Like they were trying to figure themselves out, but. I look at you as a dad too, and I'm just like, fuck, how did that happen from the way that you were raised, and a lot of who we are today is really like, you can't shake some of that shit. Like how we are emotionally, how we are as fucking people is like so much is on, what we grew up with. Yeah.
I'm still to this day digesting and trying to process like how did everything that happened to me in the past shape who I am now? And, how did I get here and where am I going? Right. So there's just so much that, I'm just trying to figure out even to this day.
I want to go back to what we were talking about. How old were you when your mom passed away?
It wasn't that long ago. I think Allie was just born 2015, 2015. Yeah. She never met Luca.
How old are you now?
I'm 33, excuse me.
Oh, you're hella young.
Yeah. I'm an old soul though.
You are.
I've always been.
And so when
you raise your parents, you become an old soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were what, 28ish, and you hadn't talked to her really.
Something like that.
You hadn't really talked to her. How did you take that?
I saw her maybe once a year, twice a year. Yeah. I want to say the last time I saw her, it wasn't my wedding. It was, I think, somewhere around Allie being born. So maybe around 2015-ish, somewhere in there. And she I remember her meeting Allie, and I remember I was just so uncomfortable being around her, and I felt guilty. And then when she passed away,
was she still struggling with substance abuse?
Oh yeah, I could tell seeing her. She didn't have that glow anymore. It's just like she lost it all, and the way she talked just seemed off and different, and it was hard being around her. So much so that I didn't want to be around her. It was like I need to get away from it, right? And I felt so guilty because of that. And I got a call from my grandma in 2000. I want to say 16 maybe. I'll just go with that. 2016. My grandma was calling, crying, and I already knew. I knew what happened. And your mom killed herself, and she overdosed. She left a note. I haven't read the note to this day. I won't do it. I can't. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole.
She left a note for you?
No, she left a note for everyone. And all I know is that I wasn't mentioned in it, which hurts. But at the same time, I'm kind of glad because I don't need any blame and more guilt. Yeah. Right.
Yep.
My mom was trapped in a child's body. My mom was raped as a child by her own dad. Right. So it's some deep family drama. Yeah. And then he passed away when I was a little kid. I think my mom said he killed himself, but my grandma refuses to say that's true. So I don't even know what to believe. How crazy is that? And my mom, I know that that's where her damage came from, without a doubt. Yeah, 100%. So when she killed herself, the note was really to my grandma, like, "Mommy, I needed you, and you let me down." And I feel like my mom was trapped in her childhood because of what happened to her back then. It locked her in, and I don't blame her. I've forgiven her. And I still have guilt, but I understand now. That had to happen for me to really get it. And my one regret is I should have been there. I should have tried harder to support her and get her help. But I wasn't there in my life yet. If it happened now, if she was still around, I think I would be more equipped to make things right. I'd fly her back home. She moved to Michigan, and I would have tried to help, but it didn't happen that way. I gotta let it go.
That's deep. You back in Victorville, when you were in middle school and high school, you're also kind of like raising dad, right? Yeah. Like you're saying that. What is that? What does that mean? Like he was going through relationships.
Yeah, he was burning through relationships, get super attached, and then it wouldn't go as he planned, and they'd leave him, and he would lay in bed crying for a week. And I was like, "Dad, it's okay," and it's funny because you think about these things and you're like, that should be the other way around. It should be me as a teenager and I was the opposite as a kid. I had one girlfriend practically all high school. Yeah. Right. So, it was just, we were just complete opposites. And, he'd make mistakes and he'd be crying because he lost money, and I would tried to pick him up. And it was just this constant, like repetitive thing that kept happening. And so, yeah, I really do feel like I was his support system.
I think that some people might look at you and think, oh, he's a chiro. His dad was a chiro. He's connected. Easy fucking life.
Yeah.
Easy life.
I don't blame them for thinking that.
Yeah.
I have nothing to prove to them either. So, but I know who I am.
I again, this is, and I don't know why it is, and I'm attracted to, like everybody loves a good success story, but everybody loves I think we as Americans have like come to fall in love with like, hey, I fucked, like I had a fucked up life, or I fucked up my life, and look what I did, right?
Oh yeah,
and we love that shit. We love a comeback story, and I think you embody that in many ways. Your family is Jewish on both sides.
Yep, Jewish.
Yep.
Not super religious.
Yeah. You're not. Do you you don't practice Judaism?
No, I don't practice at all.
You don't practice at all. You're not religious at all.
No, I'm culturally Jewish. I identify with the culture. It's kind of a strange thing because you talk to some people and they're like, "Oh, it's not a culture." You talk to, I'm like, "Shut the fuck up." It's certainly a culture.
Yeah.
But you talk to other people and they get it. So yeah, there's a community there.
They're very quiet. They don't fuck with people.
Yeah, they don't go to your door trying to convert you.
They don't. I've never had.
You never will. You never will. Yeah, it's just not something they do.
And they're like wildly successful too.
Yeah. They're I think like a lot of I hope I'm not offending anyone here, but the reality is I think there's a lot of people who they feel bad for themselves and they blame their ancestors' history and all their disadvantages as a people on their problems and on their current problems.
Yeah.
And to them I say, shut the fuck up and look at the Jews.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Jews were slaves for a very long time.
I can give a lot of different scenarios, but let's go slaves in Egypt, right? Everyone knows that story. Look at Moses, right? If you're religious.
Yep.
Even Christians can identify with that. Then look at the Holocaust. Millions and millions were wiped out.
Yep.
There's billions of people that don't exist today.
Yeah.
Look at like Thanos, right? Snaps his fingers, all these people are gone. I mean, that happened. They were wiped out in cruel, inhumane ways, like animals, like rats being exterminated. I mean, those were analogies that the Nazis used.
Yep.
They were stripped of all the things that they built over their generations, all their land, their not only their loved one, everything was taken. Was stolen. Imagine if everything you have was.
And a lot of them were professionals. And that's why they hated them in Germany, because they had all the best jobs. They were lawyers and doctors.
And back then, there was really no specific reasons for that. It was just kind of, it is what it is, And so they lost it all. I mean, and again, try to imagine this. Not only do you lose everything you have and all your money, but you lose all your motivation, which is your family, right? You're losing everything. You're coming here alone with a bag of clothes, maybe. And then you're like, and you don't even speak the fucking language. And then you're like, and you speak Russian most of the time. And you're like, now what? Right? Imagine that. God, now what? What the fuck would you do? I don't even fucking know. I don't even know if I'm that strong. Like maybe I am, maybe I'm not, but fuck. So these people come here, 30s, 40s, 50s even. And, they got their new lease on life, and all they had was an opportunity, and they had to do the rest, and they did. They started working. They kept going with whatever trades that they learned back home in Russia or Poland or whatever country they came from, and they started making shoes. Or some of them had some of them had young kids, and then they were like, you know what, I don't have a chance, but you're young enough to where you can learn the language, you can go to school. That's what we're going to do. So they would bust their ass. This might sound familiar being Latino, right? Yeah. But these parents would come and they wouldn't speak the language because they just didn't have it in them to learn. Yeah. They would bust their ass, trying to get their kids through school. That sounds familiar. And the kids would go to school and they'd fucking make them proud. Yeah. And they go and they become doctors and lawyers. And these kids were told, hey, you fucking have to, because you do. You owe it to our legacy. And these kids did. And these kids are a lot of your modern day baby boomer or older people who are some of the most successful attorneys, some of the most successful doctors, many, many, many industries. Film, they really dove into film. You see a lot of Jews in film industry. And yeah, I mean, they did it. They did it with nothing on their back. They did it. Just clothes, if that. And they came here and they did it. So yeah, anyone that's like, oh, I can't do it,
and the racism was heavy.
Oh my God!
See, because there wasn't everybody's gone through the ringer of racism, Trump hated the fucking immigrants, and then blacks have had it, in the United States, the worst probably, and it's always the Muslims, right? And but man, back then the whites just hated each other. The Russians hated the fucking, the different kinds of Russians, and the whites hated the
fucking
Italians.
fucking Italians, fucking Ruskies,
yes.
right? Yeah, it was a different world than we're in now. Yeah, in America, all the white people hated each other. They all they had their little inside cliques and groups and gangs. Look at the mafia, right? I mean, it was crazy back then. It was so different, and it's evolved now, and we're seeing it play out again in different ways, right? With modern day gangs, right? But yeah, I mean, it's wild. It was wild back then.
What's interesting about Jewish people? I haven't met many Jews, except professionally, right? Or Jewish folks, except professionally, right? But personally, they help each other out. They stick together. They're in their own communities. You're like a rarity. You're like an animal outside of its pen.
Maybe. I feel like at least the small amount of Jews that I associate with, they're kind of just lone wolves. They kind of they look inward.
Most of them are in a pack.
Yeah,
you guys are alone. That's a better analogy than being out of a ken.
Yeah, we don't have that social component.
We just talked about Nazis, and that probably wasn't the best analogy.
But yeah, they came, they just kept one foot in front of the other, and they kept doing it, and they did it. So yeah, so when I hear other people and they blame their history in the past for their struggles, I just say, shut up. That's just an excuse. I hate that. Just fucking excuses. I'm like, why don't you get your shit together?
All right. So seriously, tell me, how'd you fucking do it? Because this is the part that's kind of cool and it's kind of fascinating. At least very interesting to me. Who, I interview folks for a living, right? And I'm in a cool place where I get to interview some pretty amazing people, and I love hearing individual stories, and this is the stuff that just you talked about seeing folks professionally, right, and seeing them get better. For me, this is the stuff that turns me on. This is the stuff that brings me life, because if I'm in a position and it works, these are the folks that help us build the business that we're currently in right now. This is what I do, right? How'd you do it? How'd you go from without mom, that support system, right? And with dad, the way he was, and then really you had to do it on your own. How'd you do it? How did you get from that point in your life to here?
My dad, when I was a kid, I give my dad some credit. There's some things that he did right, but something he told me when I was young and multiple times as a teenager, and it really resonated. It just always stuck. And I share it with my kids now, and I share it with other people. Actually, I think I even told your daughter this too, when she was talking about her classes. Yeah. My dad said, don't look at it don't look at all the schooling as one. Don't look at the whole class and all the tests and all the homework you're going to have to do as one. Look at what you got to overcome as on a one at a time level. So you got one quiz coming up. You got one homework assignment tonight. Do the next thing, and just focus on that next thing, and stop looking at the big picture, because the big picture is going to fucking overwhelm you. Yeah. And I mentored kids for a little while. That was kind of a thing I did on the side when I was in undergrad, help high school kids get into college. You probably heard the program Avid. I used to work for Avid, helping those kids get into college. And I always repeated that. I just kept repeating it, and I started to live it because I kept repeating it. I just said, the next thing I'm going to do is my homework, and I'm going to check that off. I always have a list, because nothing's more satisfying.
I always see you with a fucking binder and a stupid list. Yeah, your calendar's on there.
I live it. Because you just got to keep checking off your things, right? Your tasks.
You know what Jordan does every time I see him? He's like, come here. And he walks me to his calendar and he says, what are you doing on the 16th?
There we go.
What are you doing on the 20th? He's the one that reminded me about the podcast episode. I mean, I had it on there, but it was like, fuck, I'm balls deep. He's 100% more, and I'm good. I have a binder in front of me, right? I live off of it too, but Jordan really fucking.
This was my uncompleted task, and you were not answering the question, and I could not move forward, Raul. So, and then when you responded, you're like 7 a.m. I'm like, thank God, because I can check this off my fucking list.
No, but
everyone needs a list, and you know what? There's different ways to do it. But for me, it's a little notebook, and I have my to-do list, and then I have my dates.
Yeah,
and you just have to embody that and live it, and just keep checking stuff. And whether it's school, business, or personal, you got to have a list, and you got to look at each task one by one.
Yes.
And if you continue to put one foot in front of the other, and check off those tasks,
just accomplish
those little accomplishments add up to big accomplishments. And that's how school works.
Okay, and
that's the hack. That's the trick. How can some person that thinks they're an idiot, that's a C student, become an A student, right? It's because they don't have a list. It's because they're not checking off one task at a time. And if they are, they're not checking it off by giving each one task their all. You got to give each task your all. You got to give it 100%. So if you want to get an A on your homework, do it right. You fucking idiot. Do your fucking homework right. It's not hard. Anyone can do their homework right. You got a fucking book with all the answers in front of you. But they're focused on what's coming next, what social shit they got to do, right? Other thing, the fluff, and there's all this haze is getting in the way of them doing their tasks correctly. That's it.
You live without media. That's you have one TV. You're pretty well off. You can afford a fucking badass TV, but I walked into your house. You don't have a TV. Where's your TV? I haven't seen it.
We have one TV. It's in the master bedroom.
It's in the bedroom,
and it's used for family stuff, like family movie night, which is very occasional, or maybe a late night. I just feel like watching some Game of Thrones or something. You know?
And is that why'd you do that? Why do you do that?
It wasn't thoughtful. It was just we don't need it. It's not. It's just a time killer. There's only so much time in the day, but there's always enough time for someone who knows the value of time. And that, for me, the TVs are time killer. It takes away your life.
It does.
Yeah. So does the media.
You can't check shit
my dad.
off your list.
Dad is a fucking his mood is dependent on what's on fucking Fox News. Right. My dad is so deeply connected to what's on the news. It affects how he feels, how he thinks, how everything. And I never wanted to be that. I'm like, I don't want to get upset about what I'm watching on TV. I don't want to know. Ignorance is bliss sometimes. I don't fucking want to know how fucked up. I know the world's fucked up. I don't have to see it on TV to know it. Like, but what I want to focus on is what's right in front of me, because that's what matters.
What's in front of you? You have family. You have 3 kids.
Yep.
You have two girls.
Mm-hmm.
You have 1 boy. The 2 girls are older. You got pig. You got a pig.
Yeah, I got a pig.
You got 2 dogs.
2 dogs now.
You got like 2 big ass fucking spiders that scare the shit out of me.
Some tarantulas. Yeah.
You have a fucking chicken coop with a bunch of chickens in it.
And don't forget the turkeys, man.
And the turkeys. Are we eating the turkey?
We
for
are
Thanksgiving?
eating at least one of them this year. Poor guys.
I'm so happy about this.
Yeah, it'll be an experience. And you know what? This is a whole conversation in and of itself. But we're so disconnected to where our food comes from. It makes me sick. Yeah, my grandma's really bothered by like, oh, you're gonna eat your turkey? I'm like, Grandma, you fucking eat chicken and turkey all the time.
Yeah,
but out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
They not dehumanize, but they take out that sentient component by buying it in the store. And so you're like, oh well, this is just meat. I'm like, no, these are living animals. That had shitty lives, albeit. So yeah, I like doing it myself because it's actually more of an educational tool for my kids. Like, this is where chicken comes from. This is where all meat comes from, and we can give them a good life with some space, some water, and food, and then we can appreciate where that food came from, or we can fucking buy it from the store and out of sight, out of mind, and be disconnected from our food. I think this is something that young people need to be a part of. Anyways, this is a whole different animal.
Yeah.
So my grandma always drives me crazy because I'm like, you fucking don't want to eat our turkey, but you eat turkey if it comes from the store. Like, what, you like to eat turkey that had a shitty life? Right? It's true. It's true. It's like, that's what you want. You want a turkey that had a fucking shitty life that only lived about 4 or 5 months? Go for it. But not me. I fucking appreciate it. I love that turkey. Thank you for your fucking sacrifice.
I'm all about it. Every time I go over, I hang out with the pig because I keep thinking
the pig's a pet. She's not a farm pig.
I know, but I want to eat it. I want some carnitas, bro.
I know.
Like some bacon, dude. We can make. He's a big old pig too.
I would raise an actual farm pig to eat if I had the space. But my property's not that big. I don't have a farm. little suburban farm type thing.
It's a pretty decent size.
I'm not going to raise a fucking 800-pound farm pig. You're out of your mind. Because Raul wants fucking 800 pounds of carnitas.
Fucking carnitas, bro. We feed the shit out of them. It won't be long. We feed the shit out of them, get them big, and then,
you could eat them early, before it gets too big.
That's it. And then fitness is really important to you, right? You eat well.
As of recently, I wish I started earlier.
Yeah. You recently did a psych, what is it, 50 miles in Big Bear?
No, 50 miles, half century bike ride.
Yeah, half century bike ride. And then, you're in that life.
Yeah, you run
a lot.
Yeah. I started a year ago. I had a lot of stuff going on in my life. And I focused so much on my business growth. And I've always kind of put my health as this not important thing.
Yeah, me too.
And yeah, I know. And
he's like, I'm looking at you, bitch.
I'm doing the top down kind of stare, But I a year ago, there was some stuff going on, and I said, I gotta make myself well.
You couldn't get it hard?
Yeah, I'll never have that issue.
My doctor was like, dude,
knock on wood.
So I went for blood work. My doctor was like, dude, your testosterone is off the charts. He's
your
like,
poor wife, she's fucking, she probably hates you.
Bless her heart. I have to squirt one out every day just to
leave her the fuck alone.
Leave her alone.
Oh God, yeah, I already know my.
I don't
even have to take my testosterone to know that.
Yep,
my wife could tell the doctor the testosterone level.
Your wife, by the way, she's a fucking beast. So your wife, as far as an athlete, makes you look like a couch potato.
Oh yeah. Even like I'll do a marathon, right? I'll do a 50-mile bike ride. I'll do or longer. I'll run 2 times a week, 10-mile runs, 15-mile runs. That's nothing compared to what she's doing.
What does she do?
I mean, she'll do 100+ mile bike rides, no problem. She'll spit them out like nothing. She did the 50-mile, 60K, no 100K. So what's that? 50 something. What's 100K? 60 something miles. On Malibu, yeah. Or was it Malibu? I think it was Malibu. A run. This is not a bike ride. This is a run. Not only is it a run, it's a run up and down monstrous hills.
She's a fucking savage.
And
shout out Try Mom.
Yeah, she's definitely has inspired me. Every time there's been many moments where I thought, God, I can't fucking do this, and then she'll go and accomplish an Ironman.
Yes, she just came back from Canada,
which is I should know this, but I think it's a. She's gonna kill me. I can see her correcting me as I'm saying this, but 4-mile swim, ish, and then
that's a lot.
I think it's 4 miles, and then immediately after you transition station, which is a minute or two, into your biking gear, then you get on your bike after your brutal 2-3 hour swim, and then you do your 120+ mile bike ride, right? And then after your I remember one she did, it was freezing. So imagine your hands like icicles on a bike,
and then the wind hitting.
And that bike ride takes hours. And then when you're done with your nice little bike ride,
that's a 6 hour. Easy. You're fast.
Yeah,
6 hours.
Easy. Yeah.
6-7 hours.
And then you follow that immediately at a transition station into your running gear, and you do a full marathon, which is 26.2 miles. and so she'll start before the sun gets up, and she'll finish at 9, 10, 11 p.m. at night, depending on the race. And
you understand what percent of the population can do that? That's less than 1% for sure.
I don't know the stats, but I know it's the ultimate test of endurance. Yeah, and it's incredible. So yeah, it has absolutely
incredible.
Yeah, I know it's inspired me. So. For me, it's like, okay, I'm not going to bitch about I'm not going to bitch about a marathon, a half marathon. So I started off when I couldn't even run a mile. I remember it was about a year ago. I walked half of it. Then a couple days later, I said, okay, I'm going to do it again. A couple days later, I said, I'm going to do it again. And then after a week, I said I could jog the whole mile. So I pushed, embraced the suck a little bit. There's discomfort and it feels terrible. And when you first start running, you get really itchy.
Yeah.
And then you get chest discomfort. All these little bitches go, oh, I have asthma. I'm like, you don't have asthma. You're fucking short of breath. Shut the fuck up. Every fucking adult that doesn't run says, oh, I have asthma.
Push through the suck.
They don't fucking have asthma. No, are you on the ground having the asthma attack, like trying to breathe and you're wheezing? No, you don't have asthma. Very few adults have asthma. The ones that usually say it are the ones that are using it as an excuse. You just got to push through that chest discomfort and that pain, those shin splints, the itchiness, right? The discomfort in your legs, and you just keep adding to the run. And after about 2 months of persistence, I was half marathon distance on my runs. So anyone, and I was overweight, 250 pounds at the time. You know, and
you're only what, 5 foot? What?
I'm 5'10".
5'10". Yeah. So that's you're overweight.
So I was big, and you know, and I am in practice preaching about people taking better care of themselves, and well, who am I, right? So a lot of different reasons why I did this, and within I think 4 or 5 months, I did a marathon, and I was at 195 pounds from 250. Yeah, within a 6-7 month period. And sure, I gained a little bit of it back because I've dialed it back a little bit, but I'm still in a way better place than I was, and I'm still doing it. You know, a couple days ago, I did 15 miles with Charlene.
Running?
Yeah. So I'm still maintaining it. It's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, I'll warm up with you.
She did 28 miles that day.
Snitch.
Yeah, she kept going. Yeah, she was like, she was like, here's the keys to the car. I'll meet you at home. You know, 2 hours later. Oh, how far did you go? 28 miles.
Oh, she's a savage. I have her on Strava. She's just like,
If you want to feel bad about yourself, go get on Strava and follow her.
Follow her tribe mom.
Yeah, she's wild.
You we it's funny that when we met, I remember I rolled up and I just got in my my 4Runner, and you saw it and you're like, holy shit, you off road? And I was like, I was like, yeah. I was like, I just went here. I forgot where I had just gone. And you were like, dude, at the time you had a Porsche Cayenne. And I love the license plate. It said, I forgot what it said, but
not one F.
Not one. I remembered it. I was like, I don't know if I want to tell them, but I love that. And so you traded it in for an electric car and for a GX, Lexus GX,
LX. Yeah, LX.
Because you wanted to overland it.
Yeah. So like,
you have.
Yeah. Oh, I have. Yeah. And it's been like, I absolutely love it. So yeah, I know I had this Porsche. I got a really good deal on it. When I got it, it had some problems, right?
Yeah.
And I ironed out the problems, and I sold it for more than I bought it for.
So let me say about the iron out the problems. Okay. Yeah. And this is the part of you that like trips me out, because you are really good. You're mechanically inclined. Like
you said before that you're just that kind of person that you're just kind of good at everything. Yeah, I've heard you say that multiple times. I'm the same way. I'm not trying to toot my own horn.
Yeah,
but it's the truth. The truth is, like, I just get it.
Yeah,
there's like this shit breaks, I can fix it.
Yeah,
my wife will go, how do you know that? Like random facts, right? How do you know this? I'm like, and I'll respond, I don't fucking know. But yeah, the Porsche had an issue with the diesel emission system. It was a diesel Cayenne. I don't know. I just figured it out. Fixed it, and then when I sold it, I made some money on it, and then I got I got a Chevy Volt, right? I don't need a Porsche. Right?
Yeah,
it was cool. It was fun. I went to some nice dinners with it. Made money when I sold it. I'm not going to buy
awesome.
I don't buy depreciating assets. I don't. So I bought a Chevy Volt that had problems.
You have no new cars. That's true. No. I noticed that about you. You don't buy new cars.
No, I never have bought a brand new car, and I probably never will, unless it's a car I know will go up in value.
Yep.
That's that. But yeah, I got the Volt. It had problems, electric water pump failure. The guy I bought it from sold it cheap, and I fixed it. The Blue Book's double what I paid for it. Yeah. And it has 60,000 miles. Right. So why am I going to buy it?
It's a nice Volt, too.
It's a great car.
It
does the job. Good sound system. That's all I cared about. Wanted a good sound system and somewhat electric, and it has a gas motor if I need a backup. So it works out perfectly. Go Volt. I'm not an American car guy, but good job, Chevy. Good work.
They did a good job with that car.
Work,
and it's not horrible looking either. It's a nice looking car.
It's not a Prius.
Yeah.
It's something. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it. So I got that, and then I used that Porsche's money to buy that, and then I had some left over, and I'm like, I want a fucking off-road truck. And I don't want no fancy brand new, I don't need it. I just got this old 2006 LX 470, and I made it my own.
You've got a tent, you got a shower, a functioning water shower. Yeah. You load water.
8-gallon water tank.
8-gallon water tank.
Yeah, hot water heater, of course.
You got some badass rims on it. You've got a hitch. Yeah, I mean, you did the whole thing.
Yeah,
I got a drawer system in the back.
And it's still way cheaper than a brand new fucking truck.
Yeah.
And it has a winch, it has everything I need. And I could sleep all my kids in there. And
see, and I got roofed up. Yeah.
And I like cars. I've always liked cars. But I was like, this is you know what's cool about this one is it's the first one I can actually do with my kids, and I love it. And because with like a sports car, 2 seats, 3 kids, right? It's a problem. So it was always an issue. It was always something I was like, I can't really enjoy my hobby with my kids. I never will be able to. But with this, like, I love it. It combines a couple different things that I love: camping, fishing, honestly. Off-roading is this new thing that I love. It doesn't have to be crazy. Yeah. And there's this community that comes with it that you're well aware of. Yep. So I'm all for it.
And you mentioned the fast cars, and I will say, I didn't know this about you until later, right? But you race, like you have a track car.
Yeah.
You have a Miata, right?
Yeah, a little super spec Miata. It's in a class of its own, and it's something I've always wanted to do. Yeah. It's a little tiny Miata. You're thinking, oh, Miata, it's a little girl's car. No, this thing's a full blown race car, full cage, fire suppression system, GPS transponder. I mean, it's ready to rock and roll. It'll pass some V10, V12 cars on the track. Yep. No, it's a force to be reckoned with. I love it.
And it's so little and light. It just fucking moves.
There's no power shit. It's just the fucking metal engine and a fucking transmission and steering wheel. You get in there and you're connected to it, and you feel every mistake, every turn. It's a great car to learn into if you want to get into track racing. Cheap too. Again, cheap. I'm not going to go. Some guys are out there with their, $150,000 Porsche track cars, and why? Because what if I fucking hit someone or crash a tire barrier? What if I make a mistake? It happens. Like, I don't want to crash something I can't afford to fix. Yep. Even if I can, I'm not going to waste that money.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
you also have 2 other cars that are kind of extraordinary. I'll start with the Z.
Oh yeah.
So your wife, it's your wife's dad's car that you rebuilt, right?
Yeah. He bought it new in '75, and he passed away a few years ago. And
so it's a '75 350Z.
280.
280.
Yeah. So and I did a.
That's right. There were 280s.
I converted some stuff on it to make it look like a 240 because they look better in my opinion, and I completely restored it. Brand new interior, triple Weber carburetors.
You got that engine.
My wife learned to drive in that car, so
that engine is.
It's beautiful. Ridiculous. You could eat off of it. Yeah.
Is that V6?
It's inline 6.
It's gorgeous.
I look at it and I'm like, fuck, I want to drive this, not my Supra.
I saw your driveway today. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, it's so dirty right now. I just got it back from the shop that was working on it. Carburetor tune. But it's a sentimental car to her, and it's not quite done, but it's getting there.
Then you got Supra.
Yeah, I've had that forever.
Tell us about the Supra.
That specific Supra is my third. The other ones I had, I've sold in the years prior. That particular car was purchased as a attempt to connect with my dad, because I was into cars and he wasn't, and I thought maybe if we build this car together, it'll bring us together. And he just wasn't interested, so I ended up just buying him out of the car. But yeah, we bought it for $17,000 back in 2007, and twin turbo 6-speed, and they're worth a couple $100,000 now.
Over 200,000. Yeah, that car is.
I so much so that if I had to buy one now, I wouldn't. It's expensive now. So I go back and forth on selling it.
You posted it.
I know, and then I took it down. I know.
You posted it for just about $250,000.
Yeah, it's an amazing car. Yeah. But it's collecting dust. I feel guilty.
It's just such a beautiful.
It is.
Car.
It's Super Streets, top 10 Supras of all time. I built it to be a very special car. Yeah, I love it.
And every part, I've seen the parts that you put in this car. Yeah, I mean you got the best shit of just about every part.
Yeah, I did it right. I mean, I cut no expense, cut no corners, and yeah, it's something. It's something. Yeah. I'd like to, actually, I kind of want to take it out again.
Oh, where are we going?
Did I take you out on it yet?
No, you have not yet.
Yeah,
how much horsepower? How many horsepower?
Over 1,000 horsepower to the wheels. Yeah. It's stupid fast. It's faster than they can put down to the ground, at least on the street. But yeah, it's wild. It'll you need to bring some second pair of underwear with you.
Dear God. Let's go back to. I think I want to know about like the Cairo world. Like,
yeah.
personal injury world.
Sure.
You know, you had said some things like, you know, some people want to get better, right? But it's also like a dirty world, right? Like there's some people that are there just to, you know, collect a paycheck. Maybe they even did some fraud, right?
Oh no. Some people don't. They don't care that fraud's illegal. They don't. They're flat out come in and they'll say, "Hey doc, can I just sign in and leave?" I hear it probably 1-2 times a month.
Really?
And yeah, I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And I've had some people get mad and pushy, you know, threaten to change chiropractors. And I just say, switch, go for it. I don't do that. And yeah, and it's not why I do what I do.
Right.
You know, there might be some out there that do that stuff, but I don't.
Wow. That's deep. And so, okay. What's it like operating as a PI chiropractor? You're dealing with lawyers, and they're, you know, plenty of lawyer jokes that we can spew off. But how is it working with all these different attorneys?
You know, there's some attorneys that are amazing. I mean, they're just incredible people. They love what they do. Their clients, they put their clients first. They make sure that everything that the doctor wants is done, if at all possible. And there's some really good ones in there, some diamonds in the rough. But there are some PI attorneys, not going to name names, and it's just a hot mess. Whether it be not the lack of customer service and care to the patients, or the lack of communication with, or they absolutely screw us when it comes to paying us because we're working on a lien, which means we're not getting paid until the case is settled. So you don't get paid, and then do you get paid your full amount? No. We they almost always cut the bill. Yeah, because the settlements are usually, and really good attorneys will do a good job. They'll make sure that the treatment's not overdone, the medical bills aren't too high, and they'll make sure that everyone gets taken care of. Yep. But there's some attorneys, they don't care. They'll send the patients for more doctor's appointments than they need, more tests than they need. Yep. There's patients that do surgeries, you know, they don't even need because the attorneys want the bills high, and you know, and then the patients end up regretting it. I had one patient that got paralyzed from a surgery they really didn't even need, and what am I supposed to say? Told you so. But it's crazy, you know. People are putting money before, and even when it's not that, you know, they're just overdoing it. And when the bills get inflated, when these attorneys mismanage their cases, the attorneys take their fee right off the top. Doesn't matter if the bills are high or low. Right. They're not trying to take it. They take their third. Chiros usually get the crumbs at the end. Those are the attorneys that I don't want to work with anymore. And there's a lot of them out there. I think you're at a place where you can kind of choose. Yes. I can turn business away, and I do. If there's an attorney that gives me grief, I don't need this. And you know what? It sucks because there's chiros out there that were me 5 years ago, and they don't have a choice. They got to take it. Yeah. So it sucks. That's why this problem never ends. There's always someone that'll work cheaper. This applies to so many things, but there's always someone who will do it cheaper, or will put up with the shit, or put up with the bullshit. Yeah. And this is why this problem never goes away. Always somebody to take those crumbs. Yeah. Huh. What'd you pay for? And where is the PI world going? You see, you know, there's been, you know, the workers' comp world was changed. What 1990s, late 90s, early 2000s? 2007. I was 17, but Schwarzenegger. My understanding of the situation was Schwarzenegger changed some laws, and it pulled a lot of the money out of it. For doctors. And do you see that happening in PI? It's always a possibility, and even if it does, like I'll adapt. I don't lose sleep over it. Sure, it would create a huge headache for me because with all the offices, but I'll adapt. As far as PI as a whole, I think its days are limited. If self-driving cars are all the cars, the accidents are going to stop. So that will really it would crush the PI industry. So I think that's a real possibility. I think 20 years, every car on the road is driving itself. What's the likelihood?
That's so true. That's really that's the biggest threat.
Yeah.
It's self-driving cars.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, then nobody gets an accident.
The laws aren't the threat right now, in my opinion. I think it's the reality that the cars are better drivers than people.
Yeah.
The self-driving cars, they don't make the same mistakes. They always pay attention. Right?
They're not on their phone.
Sure, there's always going to be an oddball malfunction, right? But those malfunctions probably will end up being human error. Mark my words. So yeah, I think that will end up ending PI. But the way I see it, maybe this is a selfish way to see things, but I'll have done my part in this, and I can sail off it. I'll retire at that point.
What do you need to do next after that?
I don't know.
Are you retiring?
Well, I mean, I'm 33, so
yeah, you still.
I always used to.
I don't know what are you gonna do. Like, I don't see you standing still at like 50.
I think if I'm gonna paint my perfect life.
Yeah.
Right. I'll keep doing what I do now, and somewhere between 40 and 50 years old, I'd like to call it a day, as far as work, and maybe hire someone to run the offices that I already have, or sell them, one of the two, or close them. I don't even know, and then I'd like to take some of my money, and hopefully I would have done this over the next decade, and created some passive income streams.
Yeah.
Who knows what that might entail. And then I'd like to just really focus on just living, right? Nothing crazy, not spending a lot of money, not buying exotic cars, and eating tons of fancy dinners. I just think like do some off-roading, right? Do the things I love.
Yeah.
Do my track car stuff a couple times a month.
Yeah.
Be really involved with my family and my kids. Right, just be really present, and I like to travel. Who doesn't?
Yeah,
right. If you got the money, I want to see it all.
Yeah,
like I want my last days on this earth to be like I did well. You know, I don't have any. I have some regrets, but I don't have any big regrets. And I want my kids to love me and feel like I've always been there for them. I think that's just like a simple life. It seems so simple, right? But that's hard for a lot of people.
Yeah,
so that's pretty much it.
You said be in the present. What's the present like now? You had it rough. I'm sure life's not perfect for you now.
It's never going to be perfect. I think this desire of perfection that we all have to some extent is what leads us into pain. I think you just gotta accept things are always going to suck a little bit, and there's always going to be a silver lining to all the suck, right? And I think, and you've said things like this before to me that resonate. Because there's moments in my life where I'm like, well, fuck, this sucks and that sucks, and there's all this there's always this negativity that's there that you can focus on, or you can just try to really focus on the positives. And I am not perfect at this shit. Even yesterday, like I was not taking my own advice here, but I think it's important to recenter yourself and appreciate what's already there. So, I got 3 kids who are healthy. I got a wife who's a hell of a wife. She does a good job.
Yeah.
Great job.
Yeah, with a family.
Yeah. I've taken full advantage of every opportunity that's been put in front of me, and I've exploited that in the most positive way possible. And I'm just doing the best I fucking can, surrounding myself with good people. And I think if everyone just simply lived this way, and tried to really silence that negative twitch, that devil on your shoulder, it's always trying to bring you down, and it's always there. It's a constant battle.
The laziness too, right? Like
that's another
whole nother one, but that's also one that's like, it's like it's so easy to not do it. To not wake up and come do the podcast, to not fucking to not we talked about like you even thinking about another business. Like it's so easy not to do it.
We are wired to be lazy.
Yeah.
We let's just talk about the physical component to this. Not that long ago, and when it comes to time, we were cavemen. We were all cavemen. We were Indians and cavemen, and living in the dirt. And we didn't know when we were going to get our next meal. So our bodies are wired to think we don't know when we're going to get our next meal. So
lower our energy level.
We need to save energy. Yeah. So our brain is the blame here. Our brain is saying, do as little as possible, rest, take it easy, and then gorge yourself when the food comes. Right. Eat the stuff that gives the most benefit, the bang for your buck, which we've modified with our intelligence to be exaggerated. Now we have these simple sugars. We've broken our food down in ways where our bodies don't even have to work to get the nutrients out of it, right? Our granola bars, right? And our all these grains that we would normally be picking off the plants. So now what's happening is we're getting tons of caloric intake. The energy output is really low because food is so available. And it didn't used to be like this when we were cavemen. We'd have to find that shit. So there's some times we're eating shit we don't even want to fucking eat because it's like, I don't want to die. But times have changed. So now food is in excess, at least for us, right? And this affects us mentally too. So we have this wired way of living where we want to do as little as possible. We want to just chill out and not pursue what comes next. We don't want to take the steps. You know, I mentioned that list. We don't want to check the things off the boxes. We just want to settle with where we're at and do nothing.
Yep.
And this affects us in so many negative ways. So yeah, we are lazy, and it takes work, and it takes a deliberate consciousness of this to fight it. And if you fight it, you keep checking off your lists and taking those steps, you're gonna accomplish anything. You'll accomplish more than so much that people will look at you and go, "Fuck!" Like, damn, how the fuck did you do that? Hard work.
You got a tattoo recently.
Yeah.
You
first one.
Yeah, and that right. It's
go
your
big
first
or
one.
go home.
And you went ginormous.
Yeah.
It's on your left shoulder.
Yes, sir.
And it's fucking big. And it's a phoenix.
Phoenix, yeah.
Why the phoenix?
There's a lot to it. But if you know, and you know what? This actually came. I had a conversation with my daughter. Things were really rough at one point in our lives, and it was really sad. And I was trying to cheer her up. And
is this recent?
Just a year,
sort of, yeah.
And I was trying to think of what to say, and I remembered Harry Potter. I remember that scene. I don't know if you recall, where there was that phoenix that Dumbledore had, and it died, and Harry watched it just burst into flames and turn into ash, right? And Harry was like, "Oh my!" He was shocked by it. And then all of a sudden, a little baby phoenix pops out of the ash. And so it's just, of course, there's that symbolism of rebirth. And not only rebirth, but rebirth from this fire, from this terrible thing that is consuming, that destroys all, right? Into nothing, into ash, into dirt. And then something absolutely beautiful can come from that, right? New life in that case. So my daughter's really down. A lot's going on in our lives. And tell her, hey, you remember that scene from Harry Potter? 'Cause she likes Harry Potter now. Yeah. She's at that age, 10. That scene from Harry Potter, Phoenix. And I explained that little thing I just explained to you. And she says, yeah, Daddy, I remember. And it's things are kind of like that. Like, things are really bad. They suck. And it hurts. And so sometimes we could feel like there's no hope and everything is gone. Right? Everything that once was is now gone. But I said, you know what? Just like that, Phoenix popped out of the ash. Like, we're gonna step out of this better. We just got to keep putting one foot in front of the other. We got to keep going. And then I cannot get that off my mind. Since from that conversation and to now, I'm constantly thinking about that. Like I have this desire for things to be better. Yeah. Right? And maybe even in a slightly toxic way that I have to address, but because I take things and I fucking go overboard, right? I want perfection. I want the best. But I was never a tattoo person. In fact, I was the opposite. I was like, it's kind of tacky. Yeah. But I thought, no, I want a tattoo. I want that image that has been haunting me, that I've been dreaming about, that I can't get off my mind, that I told my daughter about. I want it on my body, and I want to see it every day as a reminder that whenever things are at their lowest, something beautiful can come out of it. So that's why I did a phoenix. It's a reminder for me, and it's so big I have to see it. So I mean, obviously no one can see it right now, but it goes from the top of my left shoulder all the way down to my elbow almost. Reminder for me, and also for other people who ask. I could tell them this story. Good things will come out of the worst situations. The human story.
It is the human.
If you let it be.
I worry about, folks in my life, or, just people in general, right? That, it's like I saw this quote by it was on Instagram as a reel by Steve Harvey, and he said something to the effect of like, if you're in hell, why'd you stop? Keep going, right? And that's that really kind of tells kind of where your mindset's at, and it's true. I love that tattoo. I love the reasoning, and I think it says a bigger story about you, and that life isn't perfect.
Yeah.
Life isn't perfect.
That in and of itself is a struggle, because everyone wants this
fairy tale.
It's a fantasy.
Yeah.
There's this fantasy of what they want. It's hard sometimes to swallow that that's not always going to happen. Not in that way. So you can work towards it, but there's a struggle there too. Come to fruition.
I tripped out. I went to your office the other day, and you were talking to me about this new business, and you're going to do this and that. And I was first of all, I'm excited for you. I'm happy for you, but I'm like, you're still going through some shit, right? Like you're still going through some shit. I think that things have gotten better, but you're still like, how the fuck do you, like, in the midst of going through a winter, right? Like a season, a tough season.
Yeah.
Like that's a story. Jim Rome, I love Jim Rome, and he all his shit's on YouTube now, but he talks about seasons, and he says, like, you have to understand that when you're in winter, okay, when shit's really bad, you have to remember that there is a spring coming. It's inevitable that their spring is coming, and then after spring comes summer, and that's the great time. That's the harvest time, right? And what you do in the winter will dictate how you live in your spring, and in what you harvest in spring, and how you live in the summer. How do you do it? How do you look up when you're going through hell sometimes? Because that's hard. Some people just can't do that. And I want you to, the best that you can is tell me how the fuck you do it,
The future doesn't wait for anyone. So, I don't know. I have a very active mind. First of all, it so much so that it's maybe even a curse.
It is.
It's like a blessing and a curse.
It is,
right?
Your biggest strength is your biggest weakness.
Yeah. Like I overthink everything, and in such extraordinary detail that it can be very stressful. But I just really want to keep going, and I feel like if I can continue to work on new things and make and build, that. I don't even know how to explain it. I don't even know why I do it. Sometimes you say that, and now I'm questioning myself. I'm like, why did I do that? Why am I trying to keep growing especially when I'm in a place where I'm sustainable and then some? But
live a good life.
Yeah, I do. Maybe I need to just dial it back a little bit. But you're talking me out of it, Raul. But I don't know. I really don't have it. I don't know if I have an answer. It's me. Just I have this desire just to keep moving forward and building. But I don't know if I have an answer for you, to be honest. Don't. Yeah. Hopefully that's okay.
It is okay.
Yeah.
What I think that, it's funny. I knew some parts of your story, and I'm really happy. I got a chance to dig in because, like, I really got to kind of fill in some of my blanks. I think the world of you. I love that that we get to share piece of this life.
Yeah.
This has been fun. This has been really cool. But I also think about other people that are hearing this and that are kind of inspired by kind of how you live and what you're doing and shit. The struggle was real for you, right?
Yeah.
What advice would you give your younger self or somebody else who's going through it, or somebody else who's, who wants more and knows they're capable of more, but they just don't, they don't know how?
I would say get rid of the notion that someone's going to help you.
Yeah.
Stop hoping that someone reaches down and grabs you and pulls you up, right? Pull yourself up, figure it out, rely on yourself. And once you can really fully do that and rely on yourself, which anyone can, just keep doing what I said earlier. Just one task at a time, one foot in front of the other, and just keep moving. Put your goal on the wall and keep working towards that goal one step at a time. That's it. If you could just do that one thing, you're going to reach your goal. It's going to happen. It has to happen. And figure out what your goal is.
Yeah.
Well, for me as a kid, I had a poster of a Ferrari F40 on the wall.
Yeah.
Now, as an adult, I'll never buy that car. Not because I can't afford it one day, but because I don't need it. It's excessive.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, incredible car. I just saw one in Vegas on a showroom, and I was just drooling over it. But that poster in the wall of my room was the thing that I kept stepping towards.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, if I get good grades, I go to college. I didn't even know what I wanted to be at that point. All I knew that is there's certain things that need to be checked off that list that have to happen for that thing that I want ultimately to ever be considered, or to ever possibly be something that I could afford. So at the time, that was what I was looking at. That was my light at the end of the tunnel. Just a stupid red Ferrari F40. But it kept me going. It gave me motivation. It motivated me. So for someone that maybe wants something out of life, right? We all want something.
You gotta have a vision.
You got to put that vision somewhere you can see it every day. And you got to make sure that everything you're doing every day steps you one step closer, even if it's an inch. But if you're not making any steps towards it, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
It's always going to be a poster on the wall. So, and now I see that. I look back at that poster and I think, if I could communicate with my old self, I'd say, you're going to be able to afford that in probably another couple of years if you really wanted to spend that money. But you're not going to want to spend the money because you've realized that there's things that are way more valuable than that object. So, and that's part of the story too, that I've grown in a way where I see value in other things that I never used to see value in.
Yeah, like your kids,
like being a parent. Being a parent changes you in every way.
Yeah, your kids are going from one class to the next. Like they know your kids is a funny last thing I want to say. Like your kids know Spanish, Chinese, and they speak English.
Yes,
great,
fluent in all three.
Yeah,
read
in Spanish.
Read and write.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because
no white accent.
They don't, and they look white as shit. And remember we went to Bryce Canyon, and they saw that Chinese family, and she just started talking to them in like fluent Chinese, and they were so blown away.
They're like looking around, like where's the little Chinese kids?
Right?
Like where
do you get this from? Because they saw you get out of the car.
Yeah.
With them, and they're
sometimes
like,
I forget. Sometimes I forget. I'm like, oh yeah, my kids speak Chinese, and I have to and they'll start talking to someone, and I'll go, oh yeah, I forgot. And it's incredible, and it's such a gift. Yeah, and I don't speak Chinese or Spanish for the most part, and my wife doesn't speak Chinese or Spanish for the most part.
Yeah,
and our kids speak it better than most the native tongue kids.
Yes,
and they read and write it, and they can speak in a formal way. So. Yeah. Why did that happen? Well, it was hard as fucking shit. But we kept.
It's still hard. It's
still hard.
I know what you do. I know.
No, you can't say me because
I meant to say yes.
I work, but I'm going to give my wife her credit here. Yeah, this is all her.
That's so.
Yeah,
true.
This is a fantasy, a dream that she wanted, and she worked towards it.
Mom is so. It's so funny.
Tiger mom.
Tiger fucking mom.
My kids will say Mama Lauhu, which is tiger mom in Mandarin.
Yep. I'm telling you, like, I don't know if I'm more motivated by you or your wife, but either way, she is an absolute monster. Your family is a testament. And by the way, another little tip, marry up, right? Like Jordan did. So
it's true.
It really is true.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. And she would look,
she really is like when they say, there's always a strong woman behind it. Like when I think about that, I think about your wife.
And she would look at me and talk to her friends, and she would say the exact same thing. She would say that I am on another level that she cannot even get to. And then when I reference her, I would say the same thing to her. I would say true. She is on a level that I can never attain. Yeah. So there's this mutual level of respect that we have towards each other. And honestly, that's kind of that's kind of a part of our story together. There's just this high level of respect.
Yes. And she makes a hell of an espresso.
I still think mine are better. But
they made an espresso back to back, and It just depends how you would rate it. But anyway, you're right. They were both amazing.
Raul likes foo-foo drinks. So
I don't. I drink my coffee black.
He wants cream with a drip of coffee. See, I like mostly espresso and a splash of cream. But to each their own. No judgment. No judgment, man.
Oh, that's great. Listen, this has been a very fun episode. I knew this was a good idea a long time ago. I'm stoked that you came on. I had a blast. I think you were terrific. And I'm really grateful that your wife let you come out, and she's taking care of all 3 kids right now. So
she unchained me for this.
Yeah, thank you.
I'd love to do it again. Actually, I'd like to next time. I want to do a little less about me and more about some polarizing topics.
Yeah. No, I really listen. I wrote a bunch of shit down.
I want to talk some shit.
Yeah.
So I feel like Jay's very left. You're kind of left middle.
Yeah.
And I would say I'm more right middle.
Oh, this will be fun.
We need a fourth. We need a trumper in here to really fucking.
I got one.
Oh, good.
I got a good one.
Like, I want like.
Oh, he's brilliant too.
I want like extreme right, like but educated.
Right. That's what I'm saying. He's brilliant. Yeah. Like he'll give us a run for our money.
Oh man, that'd be so much fun. It would be a lot of shit talking.
Well, we got ourselves a date. All right. That was episode 11, Jay Talk Raw. Jay, thank you for sacrificing. And, he's in the room on the 1s and 2s, making sure that we don't sound stupid. So thank you for that, Jay. And thank you for letting us take over the show. And that's all we got.
That's it. Thanks for having me, buddy. Appreciate it.